Warning, I might act a little excited as a fanboy because today I'm interviewing Blaze Bayley. Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time on the channel, click subscribe now. The legendary Blaze Bayley obviously doesn't need an intro anymore. He took over vocal duties for Iron Maiden in 1994, and since 1999 he's been fueling his solo career.
I will live for 1,000 years. I will live for 1,000 years. No more will I be ruled by fear. I will live for 1,000 years.
Before we get started, Blaze had some fantastic news that the 10th Dimension, his phenomenal second solo album, is finally gonna be reissued on vinyl. And before I could even hit record, the enthusiastic Blaze was already sharing with me why this is so important.
One thing that I didn't quite get right at the time, the story, the idea, the concept that all of the songs were based on, that didn't really come through on the artwork. And the 10th Dimension is actually connected very closely to my Infinite Entanglement trilogy. It's like a prequel in a way. I've taken the opportunity to write the first part of my Infinite Entanglement book, to write out the actual story of the 10th Dimension and who is Professor William Black and what exactly is he doing at that time and what are the things that surround it. So with that vinyl you get that booklet, and it came out pretty well. So fans who get that vinyl will also get this new book that goes, and it explains perfectly the circumstances and what's happening, the story that all of the songs are based on. So I'm pretty happy about that, and I'm happy with the way that the vinyl has turned out. It's an album that I'm very, very proud of, and it's great to have this connection between my Infinite Entanglement trilogy and the vinyl for 10th Dimension. It's nice to have those two albums connected, those two things connected properly.
You're working again with the magnificent artist Akirand, who did, the cover artwork for the last few releases for this reissue of the 10th Dimension. Can you maybe talk a little bit about, how, you met that artist? Because he feels like to be very aligned with this whole new reinvigoration of your career. I think his artwork has been complementing your music beautifully.
Well, we have quite a similar background, really. We've both been in the wilderness for a little while, me post-Maiden and him just trying to get some recognition to be a professional artist in music. And around the same time that I was doing the Entanglement trilogy, he started to come up with a couple of Iron Maiden ideas, which they took on. And he was aware of all of my music. And then when I got in touch with him, he said he'd love to have a go at some artwork for me. What he's doing on my new album is absolutely mind-blowing. But one of the things, Aki's first language is Spanish, and obviously my first language is English. I know next to no Spanish at all. We'd be putting things into Google Translate, and I think one particular thing that I really needed for the artwork on my last album, I had to have this particular thing, and it was so difficult to describe. And I would send him a photo a bit like this, and he would come back as he'd do a drawing, and it was completely inappropriate. So in the end, what happened was I got two Barbie dolls, and I held the Barbie dolls in some photos in poses, and I was going, yeah, this is what I want. Not Barbie. I want it to be the character from my trilogy, and much hilarity ensued. But yeah, we still do that. If I send everything with the translate as well, and then if I think there's something's not quite coming over between us, then I'll send a picture of me holding a doll at a certain angle. Go, no, like this.
They will try to take my life. I will make them eat their lives.
You know, so it's worked. But he's a fantastic person, and we've
He's
met
amazing,
at a couple of gigs. Yeah, he's a lovely, lovely man, and a huge talent. I'm so lucky to be able to work with him.
Absolutely. And so you've mentioned the trilogy. It's by far the most ambitious stuff you've ever done. I think that, you know, the epic closing song of the 3 albums, Eagle Spirit, is maybe my favorite song that you've ever sung on.
Spirit of the eagle, this land is their home. Hunted down and murdered here in the place that you were born.
I know that you're working on a book. Can you share a little bit more about that? And do you have more plans? It would lend very well to comic books or even movie adaptations.
I needed to make an album. It was time, and my manager at the time had organised the writing time. Right, yeah, this is when you're going to go writing, and I just had nothing. And Michelle had a few musical ideas, which were really nice and interesting. And I'm looking through like my notes and everything, and I've just got I just haven't got any lyrics, ideas, which I normally like to have, like a book of ideas that may be lyrics. And then I looked and I thought, well, actually, I've been working on this, what I thought was a short story. And I started to try a few of the phrases from that with the music that Michelle was doing, and it was, actually that's pretty good. And we had like 3 or 4 ideas at the end of that session, and 1 or 2 strong ones. It was the book, was the actual, that story that was writing was going to be the album. Then I got together with Chris and we started coming up with the metal versions of things, and we had 16 songs. It became obvious. It's like, this isn't one album. I said to Chris, I said, we've got 16 songs here. There's none of them that we can throw away. They're all part of the story. Actually, this is 3 albums. It's the beginning, the journey, and the end, the redemption. Then I said to my manager, this is 3 albums, and it's 3 years, and it's each spring the album comes out and goes with the tour. That's the way we have to do this to make it make sense. And if I was with a regular record company, they would say, well, we'll see how the first one goes before we say it. But I'm not. I'm completely independent. I'm in the privileged situation to be completely funded and supported by my fans. And we did 3 albums of really high standard in 3 years, and we did 4 tours. We did the 3 tours for each, 1 for each album, and then after that, all of the songs that we didn't get to play that really meant something, some of the bigger songs, then we did the Eagle Spirit tour to go with that. So it's been an incredible journey, really. I've had so much help from everybody involved. I've got great management that supported me as an artist, working with Chris Appleton and the guys from Absolva, working with Michelle, my co-writer at the start, all of the people from Ionia who lent their voices to the project. So it's been an incredible thing, and I've been so privileged and so lucky to work with so many lovely, talented people who have been a part of it, and it's, in my musical career, it is my greatest achievement. It's been really, really good. Impossible, but we did it anyway.
And I think the last time I saw you live was when you were touring the Eagle Spirit tour in Toronto. A lot of the people in that crowd were people that I think weren't even born when you were, spending time with Iron Maiden and your Wolfsbane years. After all these years, still seeing, dedication with the fans, but also very young fans. That must be pretty exciting for you.
I'm very lucky that my music seems to have a broad appeal, even though I'm not compromising or trying to make it that way. I'm doing what I feel I have to do as an artist to express myself, and I'm very lucky that people like it. I'm a small underground artist, but the people who like me really like me and support me and keep me going. So I'm very lucky that it's wonderful in different countries. You know, in some places it's okay to take kids to the show, and people bring their kids with the ear defenders on and something like that. And in some cases, you'll meet people and, oh, I brought my son with me to the show, and some people say, oh, this is my first concert, or and other people go, I brought my mum with me to her first heavy metal concert. All incredible, great fun.
Do you believe what you hear? Do you believe what you see? Do you believe what you feel? Can you believe what is real? Future real.
There's an album, in the works for 2021. Are you taking us into a different direction, or are you going to build on the worlds you created with 10th Dimension and the Infinite Entanglement trilogy?
If you know my work on my Silicon Messiah album, my Blood and Belief album, and my Man Who Would Not Die album, they are collections of songs that have a theme, but it's not a concept. It's a theme that loosely pulls them together. And I've had a couple of ideas have been floating around for quite a while, for longer than the trilogy, I think. And some are completely new. It's probably 10 songs, and we're very conscious of vinyl. We love bringing out our vinyl. So we've treated it, even though we know it's on CD, we've treated it as the vinyl, as if we're making a record. So we think side A, side B, what order will the songs be, and things like that. So it's a collection of different ideas, telling different stories, but there is a bit of a theme, and that theme is personal survival, strength, and surviving adversity in your life, and finding courage when you feel scared. One of the things is, in the lockdown, with all of the things with the virus, I've had to face up to a lot of uncertainty. Everybody has. I've tried to use some of the things that I use to keep myself going and put that into my music.
You think you know everything about me, who I am, the mutant joke that man crazy free.
Many of my fans talk to me and say, oh, this album got me through this period of my life. I like these lyrics, these are very important to me, or this is the album I work out to, and things like this. I'm very conscious of that. And the incredible shows that we had on Eagle Spirit Tour, some very close-up and personal shows, and that people had those songs for a while and knew all the lyrics, and it was just amazing, the feeling that I got on that tour. I took all of that really, and I've put it into my lyrics and the emotions for this album. So I'm just hoping that people will enjoy what we've done. We're going through it bit by bit. It's very much like making something in the oven at home. Yeah. You leave it, you don't want to pull the oven door open too often, so we leave it alone, we come back to it, we listen through to the songs. This bit could be better. Oh, this bit's fantastic, we must change it. And it's polishing and changing and polishing and just keeping going. The tragedy of this year is that gigs have been cancelled, postponed, and things, but the unexpected benefit of that, this was a year that we were writing and recording anyway. So everything that got cancelled or postponed, well, that's another few days towards the album.
Yep.
That's another few days we don't have to work on the album, and we can come back fresh with a new perspective and see how we feel about it without being so emotionally attached to what we're doing. And that's really worked. I'm feeling really good about the songs as they are right now, and I really, really hope that they'll mean something to my fans.
And know a lot of fans that I talk to are very excited about as well has been your acoustic collaborations with the Dutch guitar player Thomas Wassen.
As I remember everything, I feel the cold December wind. As I remember everything.
Is that something you would like to do more? And if so, are there particular songs that you'd love to tackle that way?
Well, that's something that Tom and I have done when we've had time, really. And we did the December Wind album, a lot of new songs for that. And that was at the end of one of my tours. Then I went on to a tour with Tom doing Unplugged, and at the end of that we went back to Tom's house and we stayed there and wrote and came up with the new ideas for the album. So we were very lucky with the time in that way. It's a thing that I really enjoy doing, and when I have the time to do it, I do it. But I'm so busy, and so is Tom with all these things. You know, it's just one of those things that you want to do when you have the time to do it, because it's always interesting. And also creatively, the songs that we came up with for December Wind, a little bit edgy, a little bit different. Some of them are fun. So they overall, they have something about them. There's a depth to them. Even the simple fun songs have got something about them. And creatively, you want to be in a place where you've got something fresh, a different perspective, a different idea, something not just repeating or doing covers or dragging things out and doing acoustic versions of it.
Okay. And you also mentioned before, how Chris has helped you and the band Absolva, so a Manchester-based metal band who have become the Blaze Bayley band almost. How did that collaboration start?
Well, I was playing a show in Manchester, small, very small show there, and Chris was the promoter of the show and also did the out front sound. I knew Chris, and after the show he said, if you ever want to try again with metal, I would love to be on that journey with you. And I really think, we could do something very positive together. I said to Chris, well, let's have a go then. And we got together and we did, I think, the 15th anniversary of the Silicon Messiah album was the first really significant thing that we did. We did a big tour for that, and when that album came out, there was no tour booked with that album. Nothing. Not one single gig was booked to promote that album when it came out. And Chris booked 35 shows across Europe for that, and that was the real Silicon Messiah tour. And there was a real magic on that tour, and there's something, and I think that was the real start of it, and we kept collaborating, and I was using pickup bands in different areas, and then gradually over time, we just got to a certain standard where we said, well, because we have a certain degree of consistency, fans really want to see this lineup now play
Mhm.
these songs. So we've stuck with it really, and it's just got better and better. I mean, I'm very lucky to be in a situation to have such great support and dedication. And Absolva make their own albums, do their own tours,
Yeah.
do their own thing in between. And then when they work with me, they're 100% dedicated and work really, really hard. And we get great results. We've had some magical evenings.
Awesome. Well, and then before we close up, just want to check in with you on, over the years, there's been some reunions with your band from before Iron Maiden, Wolfsbane. Is anything still in the cards, or is the
Yeah.
Wolfsbane story over?
We are in the gaps between doing my own album. Then I've been working on a few lyrics. Jeff Haitley has been coming up with some great ideas, and Jace Edwards. Steve Danger's bought this amazing drum kit that he can record at home with and everything. So yeah, it's in the works. It's very slow, but there is a new Wolfsbane album on the way.
Awesome. That is quite the exclusive. That's amazing. So we've got new Wolfsbane music to look forward to. We've got new Blaze Bayley album coming. There's the 10th Dimension reissue that is heading our way. A lot of stuff is happening. So you're absolutely right. You're very busy. A lot of fans asking online, will there ever be maybe, during COVID, still some live streams, or do you ever have plans of playing the whole trilogy in one go?
I think people think that bands live together in the same house. It's a common thing because in the very old days, a lot of times they did. They got together. They lived in two of us. They lived in the same house, and they were together. In the old days, bands were together so much, and young bands still are, together a lot of the time. But we live quite a distance away from each other, and so it hasn't been an easy thing for me to do live stream with Chris or anything like that, because you've got your restrictions. You're not allowed to leave your house. You're not allowed to. You've got to be in a bubble with somebody else, and all sorts of things. So that has not been easy. Whereas Chris can do things himself from home, and so can Luke, and all of that. So no, that hasn't really been easy. And I've really focused on my recording. And this is the longest I've been at home without a show planned since I can remember. So it's actually a nice feeling, even though it's come about in a horrible way. That I'm at home. I'm like, oh, I'm at home. This is actually where I live, not just a place where I stop off in between and I keep my stuff. I actually live here. So I've enjoyed that. It's been restrictive sometimes, but I think for me, it's been much easier than for a lot of people, because where the only time they go away is on the holidays, vacation and stuff like that. I'm always away. So to be at home is quite a novelty for me, and I've enjoyed it, and I've used the time, So that's good. It's not always healthy to be moving all of the time, I think. So I've enjoyed that difference. I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to, having a really busy live year and being in that headspace. But it has been good to just focus on new material with no interruption at all. That's been a really good feeling.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the fans will be happy that you've got all this time to work on that album in the oven, as you say. And hopefully every time you peak a little bit, you see something amazing. Blaze, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, well, thanks for having me on the show. New album will be March next year. 10th Dimension is coming out now, the anniversary edition. Thanks for your support, mate, and good luck with your show, and stay safe.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.